Greetings, Exiles. This is Slinky here with a day one update to the new league and a Wintertide Elementalist build. I've been getting a lot of questions about progression beyond my initial league start POB, especially around defenses and how to scale. So I wanted to kind of give an update to some of those options that I've currently used, as well as what I can see going beyond this. So let's talk about where I am first with the build and where we go from there, and then we'll talk about where we go from here. So this is where I am at right now at recording of this. I'm only level 78. Fortunately, I was part of the whole can't log in for the first 2 hours of launch, so I'm a little bit behind, but I'm almost touching yellow maps. I'm on tier 5 pretty much clearing right now. But this is where I'm at with the build. I have added this essentially node over here to help with my energy shield on kill, so I can sustain a little bit better. I've also added this over here as far as the minion damage stuff, mostly because I got a wand that had minion damage on it from one of the mercenaries, so I wanted to use that. I think everything else I'll probably take this off in the end once I get an actual wand that I'm going to use. The only other big change to the tree that I didn't have before, besides taking these little nodes, which are annoying, and I'll fix that later, is I also have added the mastery for brand attachment range 40%. This is not an offensive boost or a defensive boost. This is just a pure quality of life thing. As you're running around mapping, those brands will start reaching at everywhere. So it makes it really easy to kind of run around without having to worry about moving into certain packs and that kind of stuff. I like it pretty good, but there's ways to get brand attachment range later on, so we don't necessarily need this always. But for now, I like it all right. Other than that, nothing's really changed from the tree. But I do want to go over some of the items because I have just had a few items for everybody that I have had a lot of questions about. So Rhyme Games was already in there. I still stand by this. This is a really good damage upgrade for early game, but you'll definitely want to replace it later on for a more defensive thing, which we'll talk about those in a little while. I've also tried out a ring that I found called Brine Rot Mark. It's a golem buff ring. I've been putting either my Chaos Golem or my Lightning Golem in here because the extra levels helps either scale the Chaos Golem's DoT or the Lightning Golem's mana. So if I had mana issues, I was putting lightning in there. If I wanted more damage, I'd just put the Chaos one in there. It also makes them a little bit beefier, gives you a little spell damage, a little bit of energy shield, and some lightning res. So for 1C or something like that, or less, this is not a bad ring for early starting on. I bought this probably around level 60. And then we're trying it out, and I've had it on. I will eventually replace it, but for right now, it's working out pretty well, especially as you're early leveling in maps, and even if as soon as you can wear it in campaign, you can level it, get it at level 5 apparently, but obviously you can't use Colm until level 34. Ghost Wraith, which was in the original POB, works pretty well. Just make sure that if you're using this, you need to make sure you have the mastery over here. Well, it's either one. They're both the same thing, energy shield masteries. But you want that 30% of chaos damage does not bypass energy shield. That way, any chaos damage you take from poison and stuff doesn't just start instantly killing you. At least it'll be a little bit slower. I also took, I don't have it on here now I think about it. I took Soul of Arcali as my main one. This will essentially allow me to have less damage reduced over time, So once again, chaos, poison, that kind of stuff will help it a lot. And this up right here is mostly just whichever one you want. If you're taking a lot of poison damage, you have a map that says oh, monsters can poison kind of stuff, then you probably want to take this one. But I like taking the one, is it Relicash, where moving with bleeding doesn't really hurt you. So, because I didn't solve bleeding yet. That's it. Also, while we were talking about this tree, I have this in here. This simulates resistances and attributes. You don't need as many attributes. You don't need as many resistances, but I didn't feel like adding all those suffixes to the gear, which we'll go over. So just take this out when you do your own gear. Make sure you craft that kind of stuff on, which we'll talk about a little bit when we talk about the gear. But other than that, I've also tried the replica Lipathy gloves. Everyone's been asking about these because they look really cool as far as level 25 Wintertide. Wow. I tried out. They're actually pretty good. I bought mine for 10C. I would probably want to spend less on them, probably around a 5 or less. But if they're going for 10, I wouldn't feel too bad about it. You can wear these at level 41, but obviously I didn't get mine until probably level 60, I think is where I got mine. It'll be good early. So the way I'll say it is it's good early until you transition into essentially once you get your 6 link armor and you can 6 socket your Wintertide, then you can probably start getting rid of this. As soon as you start getting quality, that's really good. As soon as you get a lot of plus levels in your gear, you're no longer need this. So plus levels, 6 socket, quality. Once you start getting that stuff on your on your gear and your gems, you can pretty much replace these, but these are okay to use early on. I would say probably around to like 85, maybe 90. I'm 78 right now. So once I get to like 85, 90, I'll probably start replacing them with gear and whatnot. That's kind of the only uniques that people have been talking about or asking about. So that's pretty much that. If you have any questions about other uniques, feel free to like comment down below in the chat or attend one of my streams. I've been streaming a lot recently, especially with the league launch. So as long as the servers will stay up, I'll be online probably streaming. So feel free to reach out. So where do we go from here? So all right, so where we go from here, there are typically two different main ways to scale defenses that I'm comfortable with kind of like sharing as like, hey, these are good ideas kind of thing. That doesn't mean that this is like purely limited to these ways of scaling. I'm sure there's thousands of ways. Like obviously you can go into like different stacking stuff, like, oh, I'm gonna stack life, I'm gonna stack like strength, intelligence, all that kind of stuff. But as far as like a mid-game approach, you don't really do a lot of stacking. So these are kind of, and it kind of splits the tree the way we're talking about. So we'll start with the first one that is the more traditional route, which is armor and block. Obviously with energy shield, everything uses energy shield. We're gonna use energy shield constantly. But it's armor and block. So this is, so I'll change so I'll have this POV posted, but I have trees right here. So here's an armor block tree. This is kind of like a theorized what I would do for armor block. The only thing I would say you could really change is this cluster right here. I have in the POB a brand cluster that I like, and then also a cold dot cluster that I like. So you can kind of like change it to which one you enjoy the most. I also need to make sure to attach Bastion of Elements to all of them. So I'll do that right now. But yeah, so you want to grab like block nodes. So this has a little block, but it gives you also like spell damage and reduced ailment duration, which is pretty nice. More block nodes with a little bit of recovery, and you go all the way down to glancing blows, and you've got glancing blows in this whole wheel, and that'll give you essentially capped block. Oh, it's not. I was like, why is it not showing? Right, so you need to make sure to change everything over because I don't have the preset loadouts, so change it all over. There we go. You'll have capped block. You should cap your res, but once again, we'll talk about the gear later. But you can see right here with the current skills and stuff like that, your EHP pool goes up pretty high. Your ES is at like 7,000, which is really great. You'll be recovering a lot of this on hit. So right here, you'll recover 5% over 1 second when you take physical damage from a hit. Every hit that happens, you're gonna take, because with glancing blows, you'll always take a little bit of damage. You'll take 65% of the damage. So even like when you block, it'll still work out. You also, the main shield you'll end up using, we'll talk about, is Aegis Aurora, which will give you more recovery on block. And you get a little bit of recovery block on here as well. If you want to, you can also spec this mastery and get like some life and mana on block. So, but it's up to you. This is a level 95 character, so you have to like obviously scale up to here. But this is how it pretty much looks from this point perspective. We can go over the skills a little bit. This is kind of what I like to do for what I think I'm going to do for my links. These are all level 20. You can obviously get like a 21, 20, and that kind of stuff. You can do it yourself. These are all 20 quality stuff. Inspiration, Switch Affliction are what we add to it. Some people like to go a different route, and they have to go like, I think people do Arcane Surge, but if you do the Arcane Surge, you either need to make sure that you have another way to proc the Arcane Surge buff, like whether it's like a skill that like Arcane Surge on kill or something like that, or like another skill that just does it. Because if you put a level 20 Arcane Surge in here, as you can see the red line, the only way you gain Arcane Surge is spend 400 mana. And we only spend 41 mana currently. I mean, if you turn off Inspiration, if you turn off Inspiration, you spend 56 mana. So you essentially have to use this skill like 8 times before you get the buff. So this is cool for padding numbers. Like, yeah, it looks there's a lot of damage to go up. Damage number, cool. But you have to find a way to reliably supply Arcane Surge to your build. You can do that with like putting a level 1 Arcane Surge on like your Frostblink, and it'll still give you that buff, and then you won't get all the extra benefits, but the bottom line that says supported skills deal 35% when you have Arcane Surge, that will still apply, which is all the damage anyway. Some people like to do Elemental Focus, which once again is a big number, but you can inflict elemental ailments, so the chilling that Wintertide does, I don't think works properly that way, and I kind of enjoy the chilling, so I didn't do it. And then the other one that people will talk about often is Empower. If you want to add more skill gem things on it, that's a good one too. I like Inspiration. It helps with the mana. It still gives a little bit of damage. And then Switch Affliction, I only chose this because you want to stay well over 20 activations per brand, and I was already sitting at like 37. So as long as you're well over 20, I would say 25, you're good to put Switch Affliction on. It's good damage, but it does reduce the duration of your support skills. So you want to make sure that your activations are staying up. Vol Cold Snap, obviously get Volcul Step. I don't have it because I didn't get lucky enough on my slam. But these are pretty much the ones I have. You can change this up a little bit if you want. But I recommend this. Golems. I started using these golems, and it's actually a good time to talk about it. So people are talking about, oh, I'm taking too much damage. How do I find ways to mitigate that? I found the golem of safeguarding is actually pretty decent. I happened to get really lucky early on. My first lab, I had a red gem that was like 17 quality, and I threw it into the lab and ended up getting this golem on the first lab. So I didn't use it right away, but I used Flame Golem for a while. Flame Golem is great if you want like huge AoE, if you want like more damage. But if you want survivability, I would go with this guy. The only one I would change is like, for instance, if you no longer need the mana regeneration and you don't really care about the cast and attack speed, you can replace Flame Golem here and go with it. So kind of pick your 4 favorite golems. But these are like a really good defensive mixture of defense and offense. Auras, Malevolence, Discipline are already on the build. We got rid of Purity of Elements because obviously that's not a really good defensive thing. You'll have to solve elemental ailments and stuff like that later on. That's a different thing to talk about. But good defensive buffs. Determination if you're the armor build obviously is really good. Flesh and Stone is really solid, so you want to be in Sand Stance. That way you take up to 19 less damage from enemies in the aura. So when people come up to you and start hitting you, you'll just take 19% less damage from them. That's a huge damage reduction. Like you can see if I toggle this on and off, like our EHP will go up and down quite a bit. So really good aura. It's also only a 25% aura, so it's not hard to maintain. And whatnot, so it works out. This is still pretty much the same. I've had someone ask if we can get rid of shield charge and do like faster casting with Frostbank and Winnowing Blast. You can do whatever you want. I like this. If you want to do Leap Slam instead of shield charge, and you want to dual wield scepters or something like that, go ahead. Like these are fun abilities. This is not something that you necessarily have to like rely on a build for. Use whatever you're comfortable. You don't like Frostblink, you like Flame Dash, or like you want to do something else. Pop off. These are movement skills. Curses, we only have 1 curse. I didn't do 2 curse. Later on, if you want to do a lot of damage like bosses, you'll probably want to do double curse. Brain Recall Automation, I really enjoy it. It's easy for me. If you don't like Brain Recall and Automation, you want to vendor cast it, you can probably fit in another curse here. That's on you. That's up to you as well. Talking about items now, because that's pretty much all the skills. These items, by the way, like we'll talk about, they're mostly uncrafted, except for like a couple items. And there's a couple of uniques. So let's go over the uniques first. This unique is I think the best mid-game amulet you can get, no matter what. And this is what I'm talking about. Oh, it says Spark Gems, so we're going to fix that. It should say Wintertide Gems. I guess I hastily just applied it and didn't really pay attention to which gems it was. So let's go ahead and edit them real quick. But essentially, this is what I was talking about when I was saying, once you start getting plus levels, you're going to want to look how much the damage goes up. Surprise, that's damage whenever you don't have Spark Gems on a non-Spark build. But yeah, once you start getting plus levels, you don't really need the allopathic gloves anymore because you will have essentially like higher level from just your scaling. This is really solid. You get plus 3 levels. They're relatively cheap. I actually just bought mine today for 45 chaos. Maybe they go cheaper. I don't know. That was the first ones listed, and I just that I saw listed at least because I had it on a watch. So I went and picked it up. It also gives you a little bit of reservation, a little bit of resistances, and a little bit of attributes, which is nice. And your gym requirements go down, which is also very nice because obviously, as you'll see, some of our stuff needs higher requirements. Crown of Inward Eye, it's a good armor ES helmet. It gives you like a lot of armor and energy shield. Also scales like your global shield, energy shield, mana, and life, which is really nice. But the big win there is it gives you Transfiguration of Soul, which Transfiguration of Soul essentially increases to energy shield and to spell damage by like 30% value. So it gets a little bit of damage as well from that. So this is a really good helmet if you're going the armor route. Definitely recommend. This is the shield I was talking about, Aegis Aurora. It might be a little bit more pricey and whatnot, but this is really good. Recovers energy shield equal to 2% of your armor on block. So whenever you block, you gain a bunch of energy shield back. Gives you a lot, max cold res, gives you a bunch of resistances, gives you pretty good chance to block. It's a very good shield. The last line doesn't apply to us, but that's fine. The shield's good anyway. If you can't do this, I don't think I made one, but you can just make a rare shield that has like recover on block. Like I want to say it's like Shaper, or I think it's Shaper, that has if you get a Shaper Influence shield, you can pretty much get recover on block. It's a rare chance for the mod, but you can definitely get to it. Same with things with this, like you can easily turn this into an armor ES helmet. You won't get like obviously all the stats of it, but you'll still get like armor and ES and a bunch of defensive stats. This one you could probably just craft a rare, like just start off with like a rare like damage over time amulet with like maybe +1 skills, or if you get a +1 cold skills, +1 all skills, that's really cool too. But those are like options for more SSF routes. Wand, spell damage, damage over time, cast speed, cold damage to spells, and then you can craft cold damage over time on it pretty easily. Anything in that kind of area is really good in your wand. You can also do like the thing where you do can roll or can be crafted like 3 different modifiers, and like obviously craft 2 of these things. So just kind of whatever your budget is, but this is kind of like the idea of where you want to go. This is not super late game. Once again, this is like a mid game kind of a thing. So just keep that in mind. Right here, armor. If you look at the actual armor pieces, I only put in 2 prefixes. Left the suffixes fully open for, once again, that config where I showed you need resistances and attributes. Put them in there. You have another prefix you can craft on. Other than that, I put on some Searing Exarch. Searing Exarch and Eater World stuff. These are, you don't have to get these, but these I like a lot. Use what you think is good. Like sometimes you'll get like a buff modifier, like, oh, buffs this specific aura, or stuff like that. Do what you want. These are just like suggestions. You can also not get like Fizz taken as cold and get Fizz taken as fire, Fizz taken as lightning, that kind of stuff. It all sounds good. So yeah, all these rares are pretty much like that except for the wand. The cold damage over time multiplier right here on your implicit, as well as a cold. Sorry, 1 second. As well as the cold inflict on hit or exposure on hit. So your Wintertide does not hit, so that exposure will not apply to like your general mapping. But when you do your cold snap or like your frost blink or your shield charge, all those things that do hit, and it will apply it. So when you go hit your rares or like your tough rares or your unique monsters, those will work out really well. Once again, 2 modifier items. It's not even like high like stats. Like see, this is like middle of the roll. Like you obviously probably want to get like tier 2 and stuff like that. So considering that, when you look at the number, that these will be better if you try to craft them. Like I can move this up to like right here, to right here, to where it's just like tier 2 stuff, and then it adds a bunch to the hit pool. I'm not gonna save it like that, but yeah. Paladin boots. So this right here is pure energy shield. This is hybrid armor energy shield, and this is also hybrid armor energy shield. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of like what I like to do, because I think gloves are better as the pure energy shield base, and then the other 2 are better as like hybrids. Amethyst ring is usually your general go-to, but if you have like a really good 2-stone ring or any other ring, like the elemental damage one, feel free to like use those instead. You just want like energy shield life, and then obviously res, all that kind of stuff. It's the same ring, by the way, on both of them. I just get the same ring. Once again, craft rings using the stats you need. Stygian Vise, I crafted it. It's armor, energy shield, life. Those are like the best like prefixes that aren't crafted. The best crafted modifier is a suffix, which is the one I put on there. Regenerate 150 energy shield per second while near a rare. That'll help your regeneration when you're fighting against like bosses and tough rares. And then obviously you're using Stygian Vise. You want to put in a Ghastly Eye Jewel. I didn't put anything in here as far as stats. As we've said many times, use it for what stats you need. So if you need like different attributes, different resistance, go ahead. If you want more damage over time multiplier, that kind of stuff, more cold damage, whatever you want, you can fill it in. It's pretty good. For down here, I do have Flask all enabled. That's because if you're going the block route, you pretty much will have great uptime on your flasks. If you can craft the gain 3 charges when you were hit by an enemy as a prefix, or if you get 2, I wouldn't say the gain 1 is worth it, but gain 2 or gain 3 is okay. And then you obviously want to make these better by putting on like the different suffixes. So for instance, on this one, you can put a suffix on to where you get increased armor during effect, and look, your EHP goes up even further. So craft what you need. Good pro tip for the flasks thing: you don't like the things don't stack. So like all of them can't have increased armor. So you want like increased armor, then you want increased movement speed on one, then you want increased additional resistances on one. Like you can't have like 4 increased armors because it won't stack that way. So just keep that in mind when you're crafting your stuff or buying your the ones you have. We got Quicksilver for movement speed. We got a Granite for armor. We got this for Silver for onslaught, and I put a Bismuth here. Mostly because you can kind of use it as a filler slot. You want to put a gold flask here and get more rarity, go ahead. You want to put like anything else, like maybe you want to go scale your cold higher, put it in there. It's what you want to do. It'll work out. For like sockets, this is probably our best large cluster. As far as like a cold, because like we can use spell damage like that, but it doesn't work as well. I like Cold-Blooded Killer and Prismatic Heart. And then you don't necessarily have to go, like you see on the tree little window right there, you don't have to go get Widespread Destruction. If it rolls something else, as long as it's behind it, it's fine. For the medium cluster, this is the brand cluster. Brand loyalty and grand design are my favorite. One gives you increased damage over time for brand attached to them. And the other one is about brand attachment range, duration, and just damage. So that's really good. The other cluster that we talked about is a cold cluster right here. These are my two favorite passes for it. Brush with Death, which gives you just a bunch of like life and energy shield on kill, and then obviously damage over time multiplier is really good for us. And Vow Rejuvenation is just more energy shield, more damage over time, and we recover energy shield when you've killed an enemy recently. So just a lot of recovery from these two. And these are 5 passive clusters. The only one I would say, so they come in 4 to 6 passives. Don't get 6 because that'll mess up how many points you get to your jewel. But 5 and 4 are pretty much the same no matter what, other than how ugly it looks. So if it's super cheaper to get one, I can get a 5 passive cluster. Get a 5 passive cluster. If it's more expensive, or if it's about the same price, get a 4 passive cluster if you care about how it looks. But this is pretty interchangeable. I would say play around, see which ones you like better. They're also easy to craft. We can go over that in another video. I'm not going to spend all this time on it. And then these are, you just have a bunch of jewel sockets. You have 3 jewel sockets, technically 4 jewel sockets, to kind of just fill in with whatever kind of jewel you need or whatever stats you need. So that is the armor one. This is going to be a really long video, so I'm so sorry, but we're going to go now over the evasion one. I'll make sure to break it up so people can like skip around and stuff if they want to. We're going to go over this one. I will say, starting with this is what I plan to do to scale it. I typically go the armor block route, so I'm very comfortable with that, and I kind of want to try something new. So I am not fully like sure of how this will go. I think it's going to go great. I'm pretty excited for it, but it's more, just be more careful with it. Like if you want to test it out, test grounds with me, join the party. We'll have fun. You can follow along. But if you want to go play a safer route, go armor block. That sounds great. I think it's more the traditional route for people anyway. But I'm going for evasion and suppress. So pretty much the only difference, in the gems, by the way, for evasion and suppress is instead of the determination, we pick up grace. Every other gem's the same. All that's the same. And I will go over items briefly. It's more rares, so it's probably more friendly to like a SSF environment. We use the same, thank God it says Wintertide. We use the same Dragonflight or Dragon Fang. But like I said, you could use like a rare amulet if you craft it well enough. This is the same exact wand. We also have the same gloves that I had on the other one. The only difference is we're using a rare shield. We want to craft, you can craft, so we're using a pure energy shield. But the cool thing about that is you can craft 10% suppress as a crafting recipe to help to go to your suppress cap. But you can also now get like plus to cold skill gems. We're not blocking, so we don't care about block chance. We just want to use it for damage, resistances, cold spells, that kind of stuff, and then obviously suppress. This is also, once again, just another defensive thing. You just get as much defense on you as you can, resistances, and then you have like a little cold damage taken as for the implicits, along with like the cast speed. But like I said, play around with those. If you land something else you like, that's fine. The chronic armor, same thing we're talking about. You just get suppress and defenses and what do you need. Phantom boots. So this is a hybrid version. So like I said, you hybrid body armor, hybrid boots. Everything else is pretty much going to be just pure ES. But same thing, suppress, it boost stuff, movement speed, that whatnot. These are the same rings from the other one. This is the same Stygian Vise for the other one, which actually probably want to change the armor on that to not armor, maybe evasion or just a different stat. But these are all the same. Clusters are all the same. Yeah, it's the same clusters and everything. I didn't enable these flasks. If you do enable them, your stuff will go up a little bit, your HP. But so there's no good modifier to essentially, when you dodge an attack, gain the charge. And we don't. The only one that people typically use is like when you crit, gain a charge, but we don't crit. We don't block, so can't gain charges really easily. So I just put reduced charges per use. I will likely have to solve getting flash charges later on, but reduced flash charges on use will at least allow you to have it when you're using your unique monsters. I'll probably craft it like use when you're unique monsters kind of thing, or like rares, not use it all the time, but we'll see how it goes with the charge thing. But yeah, this technically adds more to it if you end up using it and whatnot. All right, talk about the tree. So we don't go down here, obviously, get all these nodes. We don't take any of the block nodes. Instead, double click that by accident. Instead, we're going over here on the right side of the tree. We want the suppress nodes. We want to suppress the chances lucky, which honestly we probably don't need. If we get a little bit better suppress on our gear, you can honestly take this off. But then guys, honestly, if you get a little bit more suppress on your gear, you probably don't want to need to go all the way down here. and then you can probably just leave that on and save a handful of points. But we want to go Ghost Dance. We want this because that's really great. And then we can get a little bit more life down here, life recovery on kill, and then you get more stress down here. That's pretty much it. This is 96, the other one's 95, so it's pretty close. They're very similar. Like I said, they're not too different, so you can always change from one to the other if you don't like it. This is the route that I'm going to be going. If you have questions or anything, like this is already a long video, feel free to leave comments. Feel free to turn into the streams. I'll be streaming more tonight. I'll be streaming more tomorrow. And then y'all can ask questions about anything, and we'll go over it. Make sure to check that. But that is pretty much the build. I hope that you guys like it. If you have, just feel free. Oh my God, I've repeated myself so many times. I'm really excited for it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Ask questions, give feedback on it, and I'll see you next time.